So 2 years ago, I was an aspirant. Then I joined SIOM. I was looking forward to interact with alumni like this. Now this is a great opportunity for me to voice out the inquisitiveness of all the aspirants out there. So it's very privileged to moderate this session. These are the alums we look up to as role models and mentors at in various fronts. That is me and my SIOM family. Without any delay, I'll introduce our panelists. So, firstly, we have the senior most, that is Mr. Purnendra Podar. We invite him to the panel discussion. He is from 2005-2007 batch. He's an adept. He's adept at strategic planning and a persuasive leader. He has worked in diverse functions as sales and marketing, supply chain management, and operations. After graduating from SOM in 2007, he joined Cummins, where he handled procurement and inventory management. With he has rich experience of about 12 years in supply chain and operations domain, and is also associated with Ultratech Cement and Greenply Industries as well. Currently, he is working as general manager institutional sales at New Vistas. So it is formerly Imami Cements. He is responsible for setting up secondary operations and also heading a CRM project on Oracle Cloud. Second, we have from the same batch 2005-7, we have Ms. Vasoon S. Iyer. She has a rich experience of about 15 years in supply chain consulting and operations management. She is a prominent alumna. She is a seasoned supply chain professional. After graduating from SIM in 2007, she is associated with companies like Wipro and Bristlecone. Currently, she is working as a senior manager at Bristlecone. She can guide the aspirants for a journey on operations management. Last but not the least, we have Ms. Janaki Vadaskar. She has been associated with Deloitte Consulting for about 11 years. After graduating from CIOM in 2010, she joined Deloitte Consulting as a functional consultant, and now she is working there as a manager. She is known for her eloquence and immensely innovative solutions. We are really elated to welcome her. Without further delay, we'll start our panel discussions. One thing as an aspirant I would wonder is, after I joined college, like what would I learn? After that, like how would my career be if I get an MBA in operations management? So it would be lovely to hear from our panelists like how they graduated as operations fresh graduates and then how the journey was for them. So we can start with the senior most. Purnendu sir, can you please give some insights on how your career has been?
Thank you, Karthik. Yeah, it's like I'll tell it in the form of operations. So operations is you have input and you have output. The input is when you are a fresh graduate, you move into operation college SIM. Then you passed out from the SIM, and this between these 2 years, what happened? So what happened is it acts as a catalyst. What you are and what you become. You have learned the new technologies. You learn many things which are important and will require to fulfill your dreams. So now when you move out of your college, you have to learn again. It's not learning in the college is sufficient, because when you move out, you have to face the practical situation. The situation is varied. It's very difficult. So you learn, and I'm learning right now also. So learning is you do procurement, you do inventory management, you do all the function. The more the function you be into, it will make you mature. And when you move in up the ladder, you can take decisions. So moving from doing the jobs to taking decision is a journey. So SIM helped us a lot. And right now, what I am today, because of those inputs that I have learned there. And you have to learn always. That is the very important thing. So I believe uh, any MBA college, but when you talk about SIM, you give us very specific input. It hone your skill very promptly. So I believe Vasoon should add something.
Sure, thanks, Purnendu. So, as Purnendu said, when we started our career after MBA, there was a very strong base which was set up for us with the right kind of coaching, right kind of certifications. also CTAM certifications, which were encouraged highly, and the entire curriculum. It gave us a very, very strong base. So I was a complete fresher, did engineering and computer science, and straight away MBA. So there was no work ex I had before that, but the way I was prepped up for the industry with this kind of a program, it was really good. So I remember the first day when we joined in, and there were like around 18 of us who were B school hires, and it was a mix of IIMs and IITs and symbiosis. And we were having like open discussions with the organization leaders. I was very, very, very comfortable with the supply chain discussions and the terms, and I could see other people just trying to catch up. So I realized that okay, I see a difference already, right? And that had set a very, very strong base for me to start my career in supply chain consulting. So when I started as a functional consultant, and I've been uh, mainly participating into supply chain transformation journeys and implementations. So I started with my first implementation of supply chain transformation for Mahindra Logan, and then I moved to Canada and worked on high-tech industry. So during my career, I've worked in different countries like US, Canada, Germany, UK, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. And I've worked in different industry verticals like automotives, semiconductors, cement, FMCG, tobacco. So it's a very varied experience I've had, but what I've seen is there would be some solutions to enable the process, but it's very important to understand what are the key processes of each industry, how does their supply chain work, what are the key pain points they are working with, connect with people across the organization throughout the different nodes of supply chain. Everyone has their own issues. Everyone lives a different life and they have their own thought process and perspectives. How do you bring the chain to work together and set the basic foundation right? I think all those kind of right thought process, that approach to find the solution, set the process right. I think it all got initiated very well with this program. And that's what I've learned. So when I started working, I started as a functional consultant, and with this kind of approach of connecting with people, trying to align their processes and then enable it using some product, that has really helped me. So now I've grown into a role where I take care of pre-sales and delivery for India and Southeast Asia. And this has helped me grow into this role because I could connect with people better, I could understand their problems better, and give them a solution. Janaki, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Vasoon, and thank you, Purnendu, for setting up the stage for it. So I kind of agree to whatever Vasoon and Purnendu had brought in the points, like, how SIOM helped us grow. I want to just bring it one more point that when we come to SIOM, you have your own skill set with you. And when I joined SIOM, I was a professional. I mean, I had a previous experience of 2 years in the manufacturing. But what SIOM added in my skill set is that holistic view, which usually we don't have because we usually work in one particular area per se. Like looking at Karthik, he worked in one department of an organization. So what SIOM taught him, or what SIOM made him bring to the organization like Deloitte, is what is the end-to-end view, how you can add value to an organization rather than focusing on a particular process. And that's what I'm very grateful to SIOM, which it has put it in me. Like, I can understand, as Vasoon said, understand the problems better because I am not focusing on a particular pain point. I know how to reach the root cause of it. Being a consultant for over a decade now, and handled so many clients, until unless you have a strong base or strong basic fundamentals, you will not be able to survive in the market, and that doesn't come just like that. And when I look at the current batch of SIOM, because I'm very closely working with the summer interns in my organization, I can see a difference in the perspective they bring, because they right now our curriculum is I think the most recent in the market. They know what artificial intelligence means to the core, and they are able to provide include all these recent technologies in the solutions they provide. And that is the reason organization would be more inclined to hire them rather than somebody else. So that bring an edge to your profile is what I can say, because in the end we all know we want to select a college which give us an edge over others. And that's how the operations institute give you an edge, because operations is everywhere. I mean, it will always give you a flexibility to move in any kind of the organization you are inclined to, uh, with the perspective of you understand how the processes are run in that organization. So that's my perspective of SIOM and how it build your personality.
Janki, I would like to add one more thing. I just remember when I joined Cummins, and it was like we are a fresh graduate, we learned the concepts. So there was a concept called MRP, Material Requirement Planning, and it was not there at that point of time in Cummins, because we knew the term, we knew the concept, we knew everything. So we are obvious choice to. I was obvious choice to implement that software in
True.
Oracle. So that was the edge that we had at that point of time. And I believe right now also those people who are learning new things will have the edge, because these things, these important technologies are not being taught anywhere. You have certain skill, you have a perspective, but you need to know the technologies. And when you enter into companies, then you are the obvious choice, and you can be responsible for the implementation of that particular job, and it adds value by learning that thing also at that point of time.
True. Punendra, to add you, we had MRP at our time. Now you have this blockchain, right?
Yeah.
So we know what blockchain is, but I personally don't know how blockchain can be implemented. But the student of SIOM will bring in a perspective, because he or she must have done a project there. So that will add an edge. And that's the edge I'm talking about. And that helps a lot. It's a very big deal, what you call in today's term, right? It's a very big deal in the market right now.
Correct. So
Thank you, panelist. That was great insight. I wish I had this much clarity 2 years ago. I would have learned more in detail certain subjects like MRP, as sir mentioned. The career path and journey is certainly a daydream for many operation enthusiasts like me. So moving forward, right now, the pandemic has been the most disruptive year in this era. So from your sectors, what do you think the operations personnel responsibilities changed, or what impact they had to the business performances of corporations, being an operation personnel?
I think I'll take that question first. So, frankly, this is not a regular situation, right? It so far as per the records, it happens once in a century. Maybe we'll face it twice in a century, the way things are happening. But it's not a regular situation. Let's get that straight, right? When we're talking about roles, I don't think roles would really change, but I think the approach towards those roles will change. Okay, so it's time to really use your left and right brain both, be logical as well as be creative, and just look at what could happen, right? So maybe you can say that you can be a bit paranoid in a way that you should think of what might go wrong. And in that case, you should have a backup plan, or have a plan in terms of how do you react if something happens? How do you be responsive towards that, right? So I won't say that a drastic change in the roles and responsibilities or a structure has happened, but the way people look at things now has changed a lot, right? So there are multiple ways of handling the risk, right? You either transfer the risk, or you avoid it, or you try and mitigate it, or you simply accept this is how it is, right? And we have to accept it and take care of the situation, and that's all it is, right? So things really have to be done in a very different way, in a very different level. I mean, I'll give you an example from my industry, which is consulting. Earlier, we used to have on-site presence, on-site offshore kind of models, right? Where there are teams working in offshore, there are people who are on-site, spending time with the users, with the end business users, with the key stakeholders, having workshops. With pandemic, and then there was a lot of travel involved with it too, right? With pandemic, people have realized that there is a very different way we can do these engagements too, be it process improvement, be it implementation of big products like SAP, be it supply chain implementation or transformation programs also. We kicked off a project in Philippines right when the lockdown started, and we finished it off in the record time. All the milestones met on time. Everything done 100% remote. And when we were winding up the project, the final presentation to the steering committee, to the management, they were actually talking about the savings they have done with this project because there was no travel involved, right? And a very different way we conducted the entire project. So yeah, the roles did not really shrink, but the way we worked, it changed. We had to prep up a lot for the workshops because it was all online. We had to take care of all the aspects, all the perspectives with which people would be joining the workshops. Think about what questions could come, what examples we have to be ready with. How do we ensure we send them documents and videos and recordings, everything in advance so that they come prepared, and ensure the success of the project. So if you see, roles didn't change, but the way we were working has changed a lot.
I'll add something. Uh, like there are two parts. It's one is IT enabled company and one is a product company. Those who have to work in a field. So I'm in a field. I'm into the company which is selling cement. So you have to visit to your customers. This is a real challenge right now. So what we did, the operations are going on. So there is a marketing function, there is a sales function, there is a logistics function, there is a IT. Everyone started working from home. Now, some of the work can be done from home, some of the work cannot be done from the home, like a logistics operation. When a truck has to enter into a factory, then it has to enter a factory. It cannot be done online. So you have to understand what we change and what precaution we took to make it happen. So these are the challenges that pandemic has given to us. But each and every challenges comes with certain opportunity also, and those opportunity need to be encashed. So we streamlined the operation in the entire factory. The people movement have reduced, and very methodical way of movement of trucks in the factory, and sanitization and everything you put it. So these are all operations. These all add value to the system. So these things are being done. Then because I am right now into a sales function, so I have to interact with the customers. So customer also are very much new to the technology, and they have learned the process of interacting on the online, and we started interacting with our customer through online, like Zoom or any other media that is possible. So we conducted our business. Now the actual operation, those who are workers, they have to do the job. Ultimately, in online function, you cannot build a home, you cannot build a construction. These are the physical things that need to be done. So at that place also, we educated the person how to be safe, what is the norm that you have to do. So everyone related in the building industry, they are learn how to do the new things. What is the new norms? They have all learned. So this is how the business is going, and I believe everyone is doing good right now.
Yeah, Purnendu. So what I want to add here is when this came up, right? When this COVID things started, suddenly there was a there was a dip in the I would say the attitude, because people were very in trouble because they don't know what to do, because we have never seen that, we are seeing this situation for the first time. So the only difference that this thing has brought to us is how to do a solutioning part. As Purnendu said, we need to come up with the solution in a different kind of way. Maybe earlier we used to give like two options being a consultant. Now we have to come up, maybe 5 or 6 with the current situation. So I think the approach towards the problem has changed, not the problems per se. And obviously it will always take time to reach the normal, but I think we are on that way. And I don't think that, as Purnendu and Vasun said, there is no reduction in the work per se, but of course the approach part is different now with this pandemic.
So I'll add one more thing. See, agile is a word which is to be very important for in pandemic. So those companies which are having agile supply chain, agile marketing, agile processes, they have changed their operation, adapt their operation to the new norms. Those, you can have some examples. Those who don't have online ERPs, or they don't interact correctly with the entire business operation, the value chain. So those companies are finding it difficult to manage the operation. And what happens? Those companies which are having a proper IT infrastructure and the operations are more agile and can change, they have immediately changed their operation and moved to the new norms and started their business. So this is the important. So you need to have agile business operations and can easily, and people are really want to change and adapt to the situation. So this is very important. Like,
Very true, very true.
and like say, if you have an order, I'll give you an example. If you have an order, so that order need to be fulfilled. So if a person only works with phone and all those things, it is very difficult. So you need to have a proper ERP solutions so that you can fulfill the order sitting at your home. So this is a new norm.
Yeah, and Purnendu, that has led to increase in demand for the operations manager per se. I mean, I've been in Bangalore. I have seen that the new startups are looking for operations managers to handle their operations now. With the full throttle, because this is the need of the hour. They need people to design their processes again, or the new processes with this online culture coming into picture. So this entire operations things is it's a very again a new term, is very hot these days. People want a person having that background, so that they can build up their new processes.
Correct.
Yeah, and be it a small scale industry or a big scale industry like a huge giant, I think it's true for everything. You really,
Yeah.
I now that Pune quoted this example of operations and seeing how things move on the ground. I can recall there is a family friend of ours who has his own company into fibers. So they make portable toilets and dustbins, and even in fact portable ATMs, which is just assembled on the ground, and in 4 hours you have an ATM ready. And the impact which would have been of not adapting would have been very high on his organization. And I think within a couple of days of the lockdown, he sensed the situation and he came up with very different line of business where he used the same material to come up with the tunnels which helps in sanitization. So people just walk through it and you're sanitized. There's sanitizers and sprayed all over the body. Then there are no touch sanitizers, those machines. And being the first one in the market and being able to be so agile, he changed in his entire setup. He worked out with his labor, which was another concern, right? Very big concern. He managed it all so well. He adapted, he changed everything, and he was one of the first movers in this market. and this has helped him so much now. So he got the advantage of being the first mover too. So it's about being agile. You really need to sense what's happening and how to change, how to adapt.
Thank you, panelists. Those were very realistic insights, especially how the perspective is towards a different approach towards responsibility than the responsibility itself. And also, Purnendu sir gave a perspective about IT enabled companies and non IT enabled companies. That is a realistic scenario. And also, Janaki mentioned about how there is a different approach towards the problem, but the problem has not changed. And also, we understood how important agility is towards the supply chain right now, and what operations managers do or play an important role in bringing this into picture.
Correct.
So moving forward, I would like to ask, like, um, so the second buzzword right now other than COVID is digital technologies. So what is the perspective in the industry? Like, how will the supply chain or the operations domain look in the coming 10 years with the advent of these technologies? Let's start with Purnendu sir, the non-IT operations. How would it look from your perspective?
So I'm into sales right now. So the technology is something different. So I'll talk about what I have done in the past and what are the technologies that is important at that point of time and relevant now and will definitely be relevant in the future also. So see, understand there is a huge lot of data is generated by the ERP. Huge lot of data. Now, what this data is a garbage if you don't use it in proper manner. So now the technologies which are using those data are artificial intelligence and augmented intelligence, then advanced analytics. So automations in your warehouses, automation in your processes. So real-time supply chain visibility. These are very important. Now I'll talk about certain aspects. Now you understand you have thousands of parts. Okay, and in fact, like let's say a car automobile manufacturer needs 1 lakh parts to manufacture a particular model of car. Now, how will you manage this entire inventory? How will you plan this inventory? So we have MRP. Okay, so the MRP, there are various tools that we manage. Now, MRP is old technology. Now we have to move it further. So how it has been done? How we can make our supply chain, my vendors, everyone can supply me correct at the right time with less of inventory carrying. So these are important things. Now, if you think about a global movement of product from a country to another country, there are shippers, there are so many people are involved into particular operation. So these shippers, those who manages these operations, need huge amount of IT enabled solutions to optimize their routes, their time of operation. If they can reduce the time of operations, they can save a lot of money. And also this money, what is saved, being passed to the customer. So these important technologies, AI, advanced analytics, automations, these are very important. And customer expects and demand that their product and services come faster and with lesser cost. So after doing so many years of operation, when I am into sales function, I understand the pain points. I know the customers. Now my customer demands that I need this product at this price. And you cannot do it if your variable cost or your operating cost is higher. So there is a pressure on your operating cost always to be a leader in the industry, to become successful in the industry. So this is very important. These technology will only help. A data for me is very difficult to understand. But when you have a software, when you have IT enabled systems, it helps us to understand the data. So this is very important.
I think all the problems which Purnendu described of end-to-end supply chain on outbound, inbound, and in-house movements of goods and processes, right? There is a term which we call, which is supply chain control tower. So when we are talking about digitization, this is the new buzzword, if you can say. I mean, it talks about giving you visibility of your organization end to end, getting to know what's happening in which vertical, which segment of the supply chain, at what point of time. There are usually four pillars which comes into this, which is about sense, plan, response, and monitor. So sensing is, you know, you are aware, you are knowing what's happening, sensing for the right triggers. Is there a disruption about to happen? Sensing the data from the external drivers. Every industry has its own drivers, be it internal or external, with which you can predict some things, right? So it's about sensing what might happen, right? And then it's about planning against it, planning for it, right? So okay, we see some situation happening. How do we plan for it, right? Do we have feasible plans? We are trying to expand our business, or we are trying to manage a certain situation with our own capacity setup, with our own supply chain setup, with our own storage setup, right? With our own distribution setup. Are we good enough to achieve our targets or handle the situation, right? So we need to plan well for it. Then is responding, right? So if a situation has happened, okay, there is a strike or a sudden death of some leader, right? I remember there was Jayalalitha's demise, and all the transportation for that state was seized, right? How do we respond to a situation like this? How do we simulate? How do we check what we can do? Because at the end of the day, the customers are there, the market is there, and there is a supply which you have created against it, so you can't just lose it, right?
Correct, correct.
How do we respond to a situation like this? So to be able to very quickly simulate and come up with a solution for that, and then to monitor whatever is happening, keeping a record check on it. With that, you get an overall end-to-end visibility. So many of the organizations are thinking about having a control room kind of a structure where they keep an eye on each and every part of their operations, and see whether things are in control. Do they look at some disruptions? And in case there is a disruption, it should be taken care to this extent that there should be a trigger email or a message or a call which should go to that particular planner. So if there is a breakdown in the truck, then the distribution planner should get a phone call that, sir, this is happening, please react to this, and look at a backup plan, because you might get into a situation over here, because a lot of organizations have their own commitments. It could be contract based too. So if things are not done on time, there would be penalties also involved in it, right? Leave apart we losing the sales. So that is the kind of supply chain control tower visibility and overall awareness people are talking about, and that is all being enabled by digitization. So things like blockchain, artificial intelligence, IoT, they really help in sensing and responding, right? There is an entire anti-fragility model which is coming in about being more responsive. And I think now another buzzword is automation. So there is a concept of robotic process automation. I saw some of the questions being popped up about people are saying that the jobs in operations would be low. No, that's not true. I think what we've been hearing of late in a lot of our PM's speeches also is the word supply chain management. And with the current scenario of the supply chains, we really need operations management. We really need people who can work on their toes and come up with different plans, being thought leaders. But there are automations for those jobs which are mundane, which are non-value added, and we are just wasting human effort in doing that, right? So there is an entire concept of robotic process automation for automating those tasks like monitoring basic jobs or creating regular records, which is just about doing an entry or keeping a daily record. All that can be automated, so that all the manpower we have, we can use them for something much better, because they've got a human brain which machines cannot, right? So we use them for a decision making process. So this is how I look at digitization from operations and IT point of view.
So, Vasun, to add to whatever you have said, right? So, the what I have seen as a consultant to all these organizations, all different kinds of organization at different levels of maturity per se. You know, you have the organization which have their matured model, all the supply chain processes are set up. They will look for the advanced digitization things, but there are also organizations who are not at that optimized state of operations, and they will look for smaller digitization solutions. And what the need of the hour in this digitization, or what companies look for, is how you can translate those small opportunities into the as you said, automation and all those stuff. So even if it is a simple process of sending say a purchase order to the vendor, it's a very basic thing. You can do it via email, but if they are facing some troubles with that, how can you digitize that particular thing is the kind solutions customers are looking at. And as Purnendu said, that they want to basically have the optimum cost, and this can be arrived at if you have the sense of what digitization is, not just understanding the concept, but getting into the details, what exactly it involves to bring in the solution. And that's what customer wants, and there's a huge demand in this. So it to add to that point, it's going to be increase in demand for operations people rather than decrease, I must say, because they want a solution designer rather than working on the solutions per se. So that's my perspective from the consulting point of view.
Just to add one more thing, just while discussion I got. See, in every company wants a person who is problem solver. Always.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
So the operation guy is the problem solver.
Correct.
Those who are having the knowledge with the, they are updated with the technologies. Because solution doesn't come only with experience. It comes with experience and technology right now. You have the experience and you have the technology. Then you can bring a solution, because the complexities of problem have gone up multifold. So without technology, it is very difficult to analyze and give a solution.
Yeah. So basically, you can't tag yourself. Like, I am a SAP consultant, ERP consultant per se, but I can't tag myself or restrict myself to SAP. I need to provide the solution which suffice their processes, be it SAP or non-SAP. They need the solution, not the ERP. So that perspective needs to come in, and I think that is where the SIOM comes into picture.
So this is a new buzzword called augmented intelligence.
Reality,
The augmented intelligence. That is where your experience comes with technological. AI combined, it is a new buzzword. So I believe these are important things, and it can't be learned in any other colleges. So you have to have the infrastructure place in your college, and you have the industry interface where you can get the problem. You need a problem, and you need a technology ready with your. So both the thing is important. So SIM provides that interface, because when during our SIP we had a problem. When we are doing our what do you call that is that interns. So at that point of time, they give us a problem, then we create a solution, then that solution help them to save a lot of money. So those are the things that you need a problem, and the academia and the students, those who are actually want to do something, that is the place where you should help them, and that is the place where you should learn how to solve the problem.
Thank you, panelists, for your very insightful perspectives regarding how operations and technologies complement each other, from understanding what is a supply chain tower, from the entire span of planning till the delivery operations, and also how data will mean nothing if there isn't an operation manager involved to make sense of the data with the technology. Also, translating problems into solutions. That was a perspective given by Janaki too. Thank you very much. We have with us our esteemed director, Dr. Vandana Sonwani. She has been teaching us what we have been discussing over the years. Ma'am, welcome.
Thank you so much, Karthik, and it's such a pleasure to be seeing Janki, Vasoon, and Purnendu. I
Thank
think
you.
this is what it means, plowing back the benefits, literally. And
Thank you, ma'am.
I think this is real ambassadorship, and this is real the voice of SIOM, if I can say, because this sounds so realistic. The alumni talking about the institute, because it's not just a matter of loyalties. I believe it's a matter of what has worked in their careers. It's a matter of what has been valuable with one trigger, that is an SIOM MBA in operations management. Yeah. So, in fact, uh, that's how SIOM's philosophy has been right since the start. So, thank you, Purnendu, Vasoon, and Janki for contributing to this and living to the brand of SIOM. I think personally, I'm really, very happy that you have been doing such great jobs and such great contributions to the industry that many of the alumni, they are known by the expertise that they have in problem solving for certain sectors, for certain issues, for certain technology solutions. And it's a matter of great pride to all the CEOmites for that matter. So and this is not just because it's admission time or it's placement time, but it's also because these are the times that we get to communicate to the aspirants. So I always feel that SIOM has to be a choice of mind and not a choice of your eyes. Yeah, when you search for your admissions, and this is for all the aspirants who have logged in today, this is not like an MBA college of which we all generally see, and so we see so many of them. uh, the choice of SIM has to come out of your search of mind. That means, do you really want to have such type of a curriculum, such type of a specialization? Do you really want to be this holistic person who is like a problem solver and who has a great process knowledge, who can identify things which are going wrong for organizations? Yeah. If the desire is to have equip you with these competencies, then SIOM is the right place. And hence I always say, because you have an aspirant's eye, so everybody is going to eye you also. Yeah. And I think you have a problem of choice anyway, because there are, but hence the selection should not be that which comes to your eye, or people who boast about things and great infrastructure and everything. It has to really come out of your interest for the specialization. So it's very important to, like, you are in search of knowing the institutions. I think it's very important to know yourself also as an
Correct.
aspirant. Yeah. Are you the type of aspirant who would fit into an SIOM curriculum and the careers that come post SIOM degree as such? So I really feel a lot of homework or work needs to go into knowing yourself also as a profile, as somebody who wants to get into management education. And it is going to be a lot different than what you will probably see in other B schools, like Vasoon said, or it has a lot of project content. So the live business problems that you get to solve, probably looking at it like a training center. We don't mind you committing mistakes here, but dare you commit mistakes when you go out in the corporate and do that. So this type of things. So please look at that. Would be my only advice to the aspirants, actually. And of course, a lot of relevance to operations management has already been established by all the three panelists. I'm sure they are most updated as to what's actually happening in the industry and what profiles will bring values. And you will see all people talking of the word supply chain. Like Vasoon said, we were so elated to see Prime Minister Modi using this word. And as I am, back in 2005, realized that this is going to be the key game changer. in business organizations. So all of you who aspire for great corporate leadership journeys, with your MBA degree, I think it's very important to be a part of the supply chain as such, rather than a particular, domain as such. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining. It's
Thank you,
great
ma'am.
pleasure. Always
It
elated.
was our pleasure.
Thanks, Karthik and team, for organizing this. Thanks, Asha, for leading them towards all this. Yeah.
Thank you, Vandana madam.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to have seen you here.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. So nice to see you too. And it was very nice to connect again and to contribute to this discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much. Yeah, thank you so much to our panelists, Purnendu, Janki, and Vasoon. It was like a realistic insights that you shared. It was so much of a mentoring session, I must say. It had that flavor of mentoring, even if it was discussions going on. So, I am very sure that the aspirants have, have a clarity on what operations is, and probably today their career decisions have been made easier post this discussion. Thank you so much for associating with this particular event today. And a quick reminder to the aspirants that SIM registrations are open till 20th Jan. And for any queries, because some queries have not been answered today, for all your queries, please, you can connect with the admission teams, and the numbers and the contact numbers are all there on the website. So you can just connect with us for all your queries. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really great.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
privileged.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you so much, and hope to see you all and meet in person.
Sure, madam.
That's
We
the
are just
only
waiting.
dream.
We are also waiting to the end of the pandemic, and we should get the
I know that's
vaccine so
the
that we can also meet physically.
absolutely, that's the only dream we are all dreaming about. People.
True that.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Thanks a lot. Have a nice
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.